You know what you know who you really look like? You look like Luther Vandross.
From the Beatles to the Supremes to Destiny's Child, it's not uncommon for music groups to have a clear favorite or most popular member of the group. Sometimes the most popular member of the group is chosen organically because of their talent. Other times, it seems like one member has an entire team behind them, and the label has chosen them to be the one to market more than the other group members. Such was the case with Destiny's Child, the 2000s biggest girl group. Though Beyonce is undeniably talented, it's evident that she was the clear favorite in Destiny's Child, which coincidentally was managed by her father. Beyonce always seemed to be the front runner of the group who got the most attention and sang the majority of the songs. Beyonce's star power eclipsed that of her other members, and despite lineup changes, Beyonce was always propped front and center of the group. When Destiny's Child broke up, Beyonce wasted no time working on her solo debut. Her album Dangerously in Love went number 1, as did all 6 of her subsequent albums. Beyonce is arguably the biggest pop star alive, and her solo career has lasted nearly 2 decades. We've since come to call the standout member of a music group the Beyonce of the group. It's since been used to describe the most popular member of the group or the one most likely to embark on a successful solo career. The term is even used amongst regular people, with many of us calling ourselves the Beyonce of our friend groups or a project group for a class. All it means is that that person is probably the most talented or most capable person in the group, or at the very least the fan favorite who gets the most attention. The Beyonce of the group isn't always the lead singer, think Pete Wentz being the most popular member of Fall Out Boy, but sometimes the person who the fans enjoy the most. One of my subscribers asked me to dive into this, and with Liam Payne so publicly showing his ass recently, I thought the timing was right. So let's get into it. It seems like calling someone the Beyonce of the group can have 2 meanings. The first meaning is that the Beyonce of the group is simply the most likable and talented, and this lends themselves to succeeding solo because they don't need a group to carry them. The other implication of calling someone the Beyonce is that they benefit from favoritism and have been given an unfair advantage to be the most successful member. This could include being the only member who does solo projects, collaborates with other artists, or consistently having more lines in songs than other group members. An important aspect of being the Beyonce of a group is the ability to successfully carry a solo music career. So that means just because a member went solo, that doesn't make them a Beyonce if they flopped. So, for example, Justin Timberlake would clearly be the Beyonce of NSYNC, despite some of the other group members having also pursued solo music careers. The first group I have to talk about, of course, is One Direction. Despite Liam's delusions, I think it was evident that Harry Styles was the clear favorite of the group, backed up by multiple fan votes showing that he was the favorite. Harry was the center in most of the photos and played up to be the most fun-loving and teddy bearish member of the group. This was evident by the amount of Harry fangirls that were present in the 2010s, and Harry being the subject of multiple fan fictions from after to the ones that shipped him with his own bandmates. Liam, ironically, was the least favorite of the group. Harry made his solo debut with Sign of the Times, and the song was received very well. His self-titled debut album followed. He won a Grammy for his hit Watermelon Sugar in 2021, which came off of his second album, Fine Line. Over the past 5 years, Harry has managed to remain relevant and successful, expanding beyond music and delving into the worlds of acting and fashion. He's just released his 3rd album, and his single, As It Was, is currently number 1. Though like Beyonce, Harry was voted the most popular member of One Direction, unlike Queen Bee, he wasn't considered the best singer. A UK poll showed only 32% of fans thought Harry was the best singer, while 47% of the fans thought that honor went to Zayn Malik. Zayn, too, was a well-liked member of One Direction, and at the expense of the racism he faced, added a tiny bit of diversity to the group. Zayn caused an internet meltdown when he announced he was leaving One Direction in 2015 due to stress.
I can't go to work today, I have to call in sick, a family emergency.
So Zayn Malik just left One Direction. My life is officially over.
For everyone who's saying they don't care that Zayn left, like we do because we dedicated 4 years of our life to them.
He went on to begin a solo career, while the other 4 members of One Direction continued on together. Since he was considered the best singer of the group, it seemed logical to assume he'd go on to have a successful solo career. Zayn also said that he suffered in One Direction when it came to expressing himself creatively. He'd always wanted his music to take on a more R&B route, while One Direction obviously had a more mainstream pop sound. His debut album, Mind of Mine, debuted at number 1. Pillow Talk, his most successful single, showcased the R&B sound that Zayn was after and showed he had a vocal range that wasn't necessarily allowed to shine in One Direction. He went on to collaborate with Taylor Swift on a song for 50 Shades Darker. Zayn's success was short-lived though. His next album, Icarus Falls, was a commercial failure, selling less than 2,000 copies the week of its release and only peaking at number 64. The album does have some good songs on it, but it does seem like it was all over the place and the promotion for it just wasn't there. There's also been speculation that Zayn is suffering from the RCA curse. Many people believe his debut album did so well mostly because he was the first member of 1D to go solo and that by his sophomore album interest had waned. Zayn has also been hit with multiple allegations of being hard to work with and having substance abuse problems. I do think the case of Zayn and Harry does highlight something important, and that's that the first person to go solo isn't always the most successful. Often when an artist leaves a group, if the group is still popular, they're not going to take the entire fan base with them. If anything, they now just have to compete against their former group. Harry waiting until after One Direction broke up to go solo was a smart move on his part. Former Directioners were going to eat up any content that they could from ex-members, and Harry being a fan favorite led people to flock to him, especially since there was no pressure to support One Direction as a group anymore. I don't want to spend a bunch of time addressing Liam's comments because we've all seen them, but from his perspective, he was supposed to be the Beyonce of One Direction.
And from what I've heard is that like part of the reason One Direction was made was because of Simon's promise to me that in 2 years I'll make this work for you.
Wow.
So he kind of started with My Face and then worked around the rest. I've never told that story before.
You were the inception.
I was the honorary member of One Direction, yes. And he's told me that story himself in his house.
While it is a common industry tactic to form a group around one artist who's intended to go solo, I think we can all agree that Liam is living in a different reality than the rest of us. If that doesn't prove how delusional he is, Liam has also claimed to have outsold his former band members, as his single, according to him, was the only one of theirs to hit 1 billion streams. In actuality, his single was the only one that didn't hit 1 billion streams. And we can tell Liam's career didn't really pop off because over the years, he's had a lot of time to talk shit about One Direction, and it seems that that's the only time that people are checking for him. Harry has gone on to collect Grammys, and Liam is doing a podcast with Jake or Logan Paul. I don't know which is which, and I don't really care. The next group that I want to talk about is Fifth Harmony. I think this is an interesting case where Camila wasn't necessarily the fan favorite of the group or of the group members.
There were a lot of women that inspired me musically, but I think specifically the artist that inspired me to songwrite was Taylor Swift. So many of her lyrics, and they connected with me so much, and I just love the idea of, you know, writing music to be a soundtrack for your life. For you.
But she was the one that was pushed to be the quote-unquote Beyonce of the group in terms of marketing. I was a casual Fifth Harmony fan when they were big, and it was so obvious that the label was trying to force Camila down all of our throats. That when they were on X Factor, they decided that Camila would be the fan favorite, but once they became an actual group, they never switched up their marketing strategy, and they seemed to have already determined Camila was going to be the favorite and do whatever was necessary to make that happen, even once the evidence showed that Camila really wasn't anyone's favorite. I personally feel like most people's favorites were either Lauren or Normani. My personal favorite in the group was Lauren. The line distribution in Fifth Harmony's songs was heavily skewed towards Camila, seemingly another tactic to establish her as the frontrunner of the group. Camila was also the first to release a song outside of Fifth Harmony, increasing her allegations of favoritism. In 2015, she released I Know What You Did Last Summer, a collaboration with Shawn Mendes. The other members of Fifth Harmony were shocked, as Camila hadn't even told them that she'd been working on a collaboration. There was talk of other discord within the group, and efforts to go to counseling to work out their problems were made. Within the year, Camila announced her departure from Fifth Harmony and embarked on her solo career. Similar to the deal with One Direction, the other 4 girls continued on as a group. They released their final album and it didn't perform well at all, and soon after they went on an indefinite hiatus. Camila has had the most successful solo career out of all of the former Fifth Harmony members. She's the only one of the 5 to have a #1 hit on the Billboard Hot 100 and has a higher net worth than all 4 of the other girls combined. Despite allegations of racism, because why are we still expecting cancel culture to work, She's released 3 successful albums and has starred in the billionth remake of Cinderella. I don't think that's for lack of trying on the other girls' parts because they've all released solo music as well as other collaborations. However, I do think Camila having an entire machine behind her helped. In addition, her getting the most lines and usually the song's chorus meant that most people associated Fifth Harmony with Camila's voice and knew what to expect from her vocally. This is similar to how Beyonce got the majority of the choruses in Destiny's Child, giving fans the opportunity to love her voice more than her other group members. I'm not gonna act like I don't understand that groups have lead singers, but I think in Fifth Harmony was to the extent that the other girls didn't get to shine as much vocally. Also, to my knowledge, Fifth Harmony didn't even have a lead singer. Like I said, I don't think Camila having the most successful solo career is because she's inherently more talented than the other girls. I think from the beginning she got a push that the other girls didn't get, as well as opportunities to grow that they didn't get. Though she wasn't most Harmonizer's favorite member, she was the most commercially recognized member of the group, which usually does help to translate into a more successful solo career. This could change, honestly, in the future, but who knows. Normani seemed like the only member of the group who could potentially dethrone Camila in this regard, but she's yet to release her debut album, so we're still waiting on that. In a sense, we could also say that Ariana Grande was the Beyonce of the Victorious cast. Liz Gillies would be more of a Kelly Rowland, and Victoria Justice is Michelle. Ariana was a fan favorite as Kat Valentine and then went on to become one of the biggest pop stars of our time. I know you guys are going to say, what about Leon Thomas? But I would say calling someone a Beyonce implies more of a household name status, while he works more behind the scenes. Since music groups have declined in popularity in the West in the past decades, I thought it would be interesting to also look at this phenomenon in K-pop too. In a lot of comments, you see netizens saying, oh, this person is the Beyonce of their group. Though K-pop groups typically have more established roles, making it clear who the vocalists, the dancers, the visuals, and other roles are, this doesn't eliminate favoritism by any means. It also doesn't stop fans from having favorite idols or drawing comparisons between Western group dynamics. I think a pretty good example of this right now is how netizens view the treatment of IVE's Wonyoung. Wonyoung is currently a vocalist in the girl group IVE and was formerly the center of IZ*ONE. Lately, Wonyoung has been criticized for benefiting from favoritism. I do want to point out that this criticism should fall on her company, Starship Entertainment, because Wonyoung doesn't control her styling, line distribution, her appearances, or any of that. Netizens have cited examples like Wonyoung getting multiple opportunities to MC and getting more camera time and ending fairies as proof of favoritism. However, the most obvious example of favoritism seems to be in the styling for IVE. Wonyoung seems to receive more eye-catching outfits than her group mates, and it often seems like she's intentionally styled to stand out. Sometimes the outfits are so biased towards Wonyoung it looks like the other members are her backup dancers. The same was said about Beyonce's styling in Destiny's Child. Fans often said Beyonce got the most flattering outfits and attributed this to her mom being the group stylist. Looking at both, Destiny's Child outfits seem more cohesive and Beyonce's outfits don't look that much better than the other girls to me. The Wonyoung examples are way crazier in my opinion because she stands out so much more than the rest of IVE in a lot of these pictures. Netizens have speculated that Starship's endgame is a solo career for Wonyoung, and IVE was created just to promote her. The majority of times Wonyoung has been called the Beyonce of IVE, it alluded to what many viewed as unfair favoritism, similar to what many people feel like Beyonce received while in Destiny's Child. Twice's Nayeon has also been called the Beyonce of her group. Nayeon is a lead vocalist and typically both opens Twice songs and sings the chorus. She's also the center of the group and one of the most popular members. Nayeon was also predicted to be the first member of Twice to have a solo debut. And netizens were right, as Nayeon's solo mini album is dropping in just a couple of weeks, and I am so excited, honestly. In this instance, calling Nayeon the Beyonce of the group isn't used as an insult, but just a reference to how Beyonce was a standout girl group member who went on to have a successful solo career. It's meant as a compliment to Nayeon, saying that she shines in her group and is a talented member. The phrase Beyonce of the group can be either a compliment or an insult, depending on the group's dynamics. Sometimes it's a reference to a well-deserved, well-anticipated solo career. Other times it's a reference to unfair advantages because of favoritism. It's also important to remember that just because an artist leaves a group, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're the Beyonce of the group. Beyonce never left Destiny's Child, she pursued her solo career after they broke up. Likewise, just because someone pursues a solo career, that doesn't make them a Beyonce. Calling someone a Beyonce of the group means that they stand out in the group, and because of that, they're able to have a successful solo career. To me, an indicator of whether someone is a Beyonce of their group is just how well the group would probably do without them. Destiny's Child would have crashed and burned if Beyonce left. When Camila left, for better or worse, Fifth Harmony went downhill and disbanded shortly after. One Direction still did well without Zayn, but I don't think they would have done as well had Harry left. That's another reason why when it comes to One Direction, I would say Harry is the Beyonce of the group. Yeah, Zayn was the best singer and went solo first, but he ultimately never went as far as Harry and hasn't been able to sustain a solo career. At least that's how I interpret it, but let me know what you think in the comments. A good example of someone I don't think was a Beyonce of her group is Jessie from Little Mix. Yes, she went solo first and is considered a talented singer by some. However, she wasn't the best singer in Little Mix, nor was she the most popular. She hasn't made any remarkable success from her solo debut to now. Allegedly, her label rejected the songs on her most recent album and told her to get back to the drawing board because they were no good. Jessie definitely didn't carry Little Mix the way Beyonce carried Destiny's Child. Little Mix was just fine and arguably better without her, maintaining their status as one of the world's biggest girl groups in her absence. Little Mix just ended their Confetti tour and are going on indefinite hiatus to pursue solo careers. Perry and Leanne are mothers now, so they probably want more time with their kids aside from working on music. The group hiatus wasn't at all due to Jessie's leaving. Other than Jessie, I don't think Little Mix has a Beyonce. I think they're a good example of a group where they shine equally and the fan base appreciates Jade, Perry, and Leanne as a group. Typically in groups, only the most and second most popular members ever stand a real chance of having a successful solo career. This is usually for obvious reasons like them having the most fans, being the most talented, or because they've been marketed the best by their label. In some groups, it's hard to imagine certain members going solo, or if they do, being successful at it. It seems like some members more than others seem to need their group to support them. Whether that's because they weren't as talented or just didn't get the opportunity to develop an individual fan base and persona, it sometimes depends. I do also want to say that just because a member of a group benefits from favoritism, that doesn't always mean that they're not talented, just that they have an advantage over their group members to showcase that talent. Another interesting thing is that it seems like the Beyonce of the group is always the most successful one long term. It's not like Harry was the most popular member of One Direction when they were together, but now all of a sudden Niall is outselling him. I can't think of a single group where one of the least popular members is one of the most successful soloists. If you can, please let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think makes someone a Beyonce of their group. This was kind of something I thought was easy to come up with examples for, but really hard to put into words, so I hope I explained myself well. I feel like it's one of those things where it's easy to point out, but just hard to describe. Still, I'd be interested to know what you think and what other examples are out there. As always, if you like this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye.